Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, total financial irregularities in the public sector organizations in 2021 stood at 17.48 billion cedis, according to the latest Auditor General's report. Now, this is a 36.0% or 4.6 billion cedi rise from 12.8 billion cedis in 2020. As we're showing you on the screen, the irregularities included outstanding debts, loans, recoverable, credit, power sales irregularities, which stood at 16.3 billion cedis, cash irregularities related to the misapplication of funds, budget overruns, payments not authenticated, and payment of board allowances to council members without ministerial approval amounted to 505.80 million cedis. Payroll irregularities amounted to 8.24 million cedis. They were caused by the failure of management to exercise due diligence. Then tax irregularities related to failure to pay statutory tax deductions on due dates and non-deduction of applicable taxes amounted to 23.57 million cedis. Now, contract irregularities mainly related to payment for construction projects not undertaken by various public boards, corporations, and other statutory institutions amounted to 283.77 million cedis. Those are monies that we have wasted, misappropriated. And the latest Auditor General report also indicates that procurement irregularities in 2021 amounted to a little above 306 million cedis. Now, these irregularities, it said, occurred as a result of management's non-compliance with the provisions of the Public Procurement Act as amended. And here to react is procurement specialist, Dr. Kangsin Pente. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. I want your reaction to this report.
Thank you so much, Daryl. I have gone to the report, of course not entirely, but specifically to the aspects that relate to the procurement irregularity. To the extent that the financial impact of those irregularities has been assigned, totaling 307 million Ghana cedis. I have taken the opportunity to also look at what was related to stocks, and stocks accounted for almost about 173,000 Ghana cedis, and then contract also being a component of a procurement capability at a total of 283 million Ghana cedis. The sum of the irregularity and the corresponding financial impact.
Okay, I think we may have lost Dr. Kangsin Pente there, but he was reacting to a report from the Auditor General, basically speaking about how much we lost as a result of procurement irregularities, and in 2021, that figure amounted to 306 million cedis. We're trying to make sense of this. Hopefully, we'll get him back to react. Are you on, Doc? Can you hear me, Dr. Pente?
I think we lost connection.
Yes, yes.
So, I try to attribute the irregularity under procurement to include that which was accounted for in stock as well as contract. The reason being that these are critical dynamic capabilities within the broad headline procurement. So the total financial impact arising from those irregularities is approximately 591 million Ghana cedis. And that is a 0.3% of the total infraction that were reported across the various MMDA bodies in the sum of about 17.5 billion Ghana cedis. This is significant. The report has actually tried to assign reason for a specific case of procurement. A significant number of that figure that is about 219 million Ghana cedis was as a result of the fact that procurement was conducted without specific record to the Public Procurement Authority. What does this mean? Is it a case that if the Public Procurement Authority had been engaged to seek specific clearances, either by way of the method to invoke to conduct those specific sourcing initiatives, those financial impact could not be assigned. So therefore, what it means is that the agency are not relying on the provisions in the Act.
And that's stated in the report. It talked about non-compliance with the provisions, and so it makes you wonder if there's also no oversight over some of these transactions, and if there are no stiffer systems or sanctions in place to check some of these breaches.
So the report was very silent on whether or not it was a result of management oversight from the respective MMDA. But as the report has indicated, in as much as those specific non-compliance issues were identified, one could infer that there was lacking management oversight. It is the reason the report has recommended that management to put in the appropriate measures to make sure that those incidents do not recur.
And what would be those appropriate measures, do you think?
So for me, looking at the entire report, one of the key things I have come to terms with is the fact that there is a likelihood, looking at the financial impact, what it means is that those procurement activities were conducted without recourse to procurement authority, in line with the Act 2016 as amended 914. What it means is that it is likely that processes were actually, the procurement methods, the appropriate methods were actually used. However, without clearances or without compliance with the Act, which is an infraction. So, therefore, what I am of the opinion is, my opinion is that the procurement department, and for that matter, the function within the respective MMDA, need to ensure that they are compliant with the Act.
Right.
Management must have to put in measures to enforce the provisions of the Act anytime there is a procurement initiative to be embarked on. So the lacking management oversight, I think, is a source of concern. It is important that the Act is respected in a manner that we do not find ourselves in the situation that we're in. A few recommendations also is it a case that there are interferences within, prior to the processes, for which reason the responsible officers managing the procurement process failed or were obstructed. I'm using obstruction advisedly. They were obstructed to allow their professional capability to come to bear, wherein they have knowledge that the authority had to be engaged in compliance with the Act, but for some obstructions, or as a result of some obstructions within their respective functions, they failed to comply with the Act. So it is important that the Act is respected. And two, I think that there's a need for the respective MNDAs to continue to do capacity building and then also provide some autonomy to the respective professionals that are managing procurement in the MNDA.
All right.
Over time, and give them some autonomy to be able to conduct their job in a manner that will adhere to the benefit of the respective MNDAs and the country at large.
Just 1 minute, and I would appreciate if you could answer that in 1 minute, this next question. Where is the accountability? Are people getting punished for these breaches? Isn't that also one of the reasons why we are seeing that boards managements are not acting?
Sure. I think historically, if you look at the page 3 of the report, that has to provide an analysis of the prior year infractions or the irregularities therein. you could see that over time, a specific infraction relating to procurement from 2020 to 2021 has increased by about 36%. What it means is that management is not taking steps to ensure that there is accountability. To the extent that where there are breaches arising from process irregularities that have such significant financial impact, it's important that there is what I will refer to as an audit tracker that will ensure that the issues that crystallized, that were identified as actions that needed to be closed in the prior audit.
Okay.
If those actions were taken, those audit actions were closed, it will be a lesson learned, and therefore going into 2021, there will be an improvement rather than a degradation of the prior year irregularity that has that significant financial impact. So yes, responsibility lies with the entity head that was supposed to have ensure oversight, to ensure the appropriate controls are enforced.
This is certainly worrying. Dr. Kangsing Pente, thank you so much for your analysis on this subject of financial misappropriation, be it procurement, be it the others that we've talked about this afternoon. Appreciate your time with us. Now, telecom subscribers who have not registered their SIM cards have exactly a month to do so or lose their numbers. But data from the Ghana Telecoms Chamber shows registration numbers have fallen by 98% since an extension was announced. It appears the public have relaxed because of the extension, and this extension is coming at a cost to telcos, and they cannot afford another one. Well, the Chamber of Telecommunications is calling for sanctions for subscribers who still have not registered. Listen to Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, speak to us yesterday on the marketplace.
When you run through the data, you find out that when it was getting close to July, that's when a lot more people started, going to the various centers. And so the last minute attitude is something that is there. So what we definitely need to do is to be able to separate those who do not have the Ghana card. And so no matter what you do, they will not be able to register. But for those who have, and if you look at the large chunk between those who have done the the first step and those who have done the biometric capture, that's still a lot of Ghanaians. So in the coming days, industry working together with a regulator under the policy direction of the minister, there would be some discomfort that will start happening. A typical example would be that you would want to make, if you have not registered, you would want to make a call, and then it would direct you to say, if you really want to complete this call, then go and get your SIM registered. You might be able to receive calls from those who have registered, but for you who want to make a call, maybe for some days, you would not be able to make the call till you go and get your biometric capture done. And once you do that, then you'll be able to make the call. The good thing is that now when you go to most of these centers, there are no queues there. So those who have Ghana cards would definitely be able to register. And we know that the self-registration app has also been deployed. So for our brothers and sisters who are in the diaspora, or Daryl, for those of you who have enough resources, and you're very busy, you can pay 5 CDs and then get your self-registration.
But how is that going though?
Well, I know that it's just been launched. I'm sure there's going to be some advertisements to educate people, because what will happen is that when you do your 404, there is a unique code that is given to you, and that unique code you need to input it in once you are doing your registration. One of the recommendations I would give to the technical people behind this is that the point at which you make the payment should be deferred.
So that was Dr. Ken Ashigbe speaking to us yesterday on the marketplace. Joining us, Apia Kusiadmako, who is country coordinator of CAS International, with a reaction to this. Yesterday when I spoke with Dr. Ashigbe, Mr. Kusiadmako, I told him, well, I'm not surprised it's a decline, but 98%, it's just alarming, and it makes I don't know what to say, nonsense of the extension, really, because some of us were advocates of it, but it looks like the public is taking it for granted. Your reaction? You're muted. You're muted, sir. I'm not too sure if Apia Kusiadumako can hear me. We'll try and re-establish connection with him. But let's turn to this other story. Small and medium enterprises. Okay, I'm told he can hear us now. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, you're making a point.
So I think this posture of subscribers was expected when the extension was given. And so for us, if you would recall, in our press release that we issued, we suggested that though it was necessary for the minister to extend the registration timeline, it's also important to put some level of limitations on all unregistered SIM card between this extension period, so that people will not wait till the latter end and then go and queue up, and it also becoming another public health hazard. But I think the ministry, in extending the deadline, did not account for the human behavior.
Okay, and so you agree with Dr. Shigbe when he talks about some sanctions, right?
Yes, I think the sanctions should rather be put on the SIM cards that have not been registered, so that if you have not been registered, you can only send or receive 50 Ghana cedis Momo a day. If you have not been registered, you can only talk on your phone for 20 minutes a day. If you have not been registered, you can only browse up to, let's say, 50 megabytes a day. So these are some form of sanctions for unregistered SIM card. When we do this, they will take the limitation on their SIM card and take advantage by registering, said that they will not have any restriction again. And I think I'm in support with that.
Anything else we can do aside from the restrictions, do you think?
I think so far the restriction is what would actually compel a lot of people to register. And mind you, because the mobile SIM card has been sanitized, most of the SIM cards that have not been sanitized, some of them, the criminals may be using those things to do their fraud, their criminal activities. So it is high time the ministry places restrictions on unregistered SIM card, so that we don't, innocent people are not fleeced by this bunch of thieves who are having lots of unregistered SIM cards in their possession.
We also talked about the self-service app, and it turns out the number of downloads is not as impressive or as huge as we would have expected. Do you think that the self-service app in itself is a good opportunity or good way for others to register their SIMs if they haven't yet?
I think the self-service app is better late than never. But most of the people who would have used the self-service app might have taken advantage of the early stages of the registration. They have registered. Those who have not been able to register, most of these guys are now getting their app, their Ghana card in place. And so, but I think, as Dr. Shbe said, it will be very, very important for the Ministry of Communication and the telecos to kind of popularize this self-service app and the process so that it can get the needed attraction across the landscape.
All right. Apia Kusiadumako, Coordinator, CATS International, appreciate your time and your reaction to this story. We have been running about a 98% decline in numbers when it comes to SIM card registration, with exactly a month from today for that deadline to be up. Now, small and medium enterprises will be required to secure transactional identity for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as a means of boosting confidence in their services under the agreement. The move, which is part of the After Hub launched by the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization with support from industry stakeholders, is aimed at using digital tools to make Ghanaian entities benefit from the agreement. Minister of Communications Owusu Kufuor is confident such innovation will put Ghanaian firms ahead of their peers. She was speaking at the launch of the After Hub in Accra. Here's more in this report.
The essence of the After Hub is to allow businesses trading on the Continental Free Trade Agreement have a seamless connection with their customers across the continent through digital networking. With the After number, Ghanaian enterprises will obtain a sure and secure navigational tool as well as a trusted profile to speed up connections across the continent for business. Minister for Communications and Digitalization Owusu Kufuor has been explaining how businesses can benefit in such initiative.
Boosting uptake of digital services, suppressing fraud, and increasing the efficiency of doing business in Ghana and beyond. Because the hub is also being rolled out in other markets, businesses would find that the benefits of the After number and the After common transaction framework will extend well beyond Ghana. Now, I'm glad that the telecoms industry is also present. They, in particular, should benefit from the related policy of deploying the hub as a common fraud reporting node and blacklist database harmonizer because of this regional element.
Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry Herbert Krapper underscored the need for small and medium-sized businesses to take advantage of the platform to increase their presence on the continent.
Today, by the power of digital technology, no one should be left out of anything and not the opportunities of continental trade. Selling a service to a customer in Kigali or Yaoundé or Rabat, if it was before a nightmare, it is now only a button's click away. We must take advantage of the array of digital tools and electronic platforms available to us to deepen trading goods and services across the continent.
The rollout of the After Hub will ensure that Ghanaian businesses have a trusted profile beyond Ghana.
Now, the Bank of Ghana is expressing worry that the increasing involvement of banking staff in reported cases of fraud in the financial sector is likely to reduce confidence. To this end, the central bank is charging the Committee for Cooperation between the law enforcement agencies and banking community to step up efforts in dealing with fraud cases. Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Adoawaji, in a speech to open a workshop for the committee, charged members to concentrate attention on dealing with the menace before it gets out of hand.
The workshop is part of collaborative efforts by the central bank and law enforcement agencies to deal with growing financial crimes in the banking sector. According to the second deputy governor at the central bank, Elsie Adoawaji, the sector players need to come up with measures to deal with fraud challenges, especially on electronic channels.
Disturbing still is the fact that most of the reported cases of fraud involve staff and other insiders of these financial institutions. Another worrying trend from the report is the increasing levels of fraud associated with electronic money channels such as ATMs, mobile money, and other forms of electronic banking. This report brings home very disturbing findings, which I do hope engage you as you meet today. Members of COCLA, I urge you to take a very critical look at these developments and identify concrete measures to help to address the underlying factors so that we can reverse these worrying trends.
He also tasked the committee to remain committed to the fight against illegal operations in the foreign exchange market.
Next, your money tip on Money Lab.
Hello there, welcome back to Money Lab. We have been looking extensively at the topic fixed income securities. We have looked at the tax implications, we have looked at the different types, and we've also looked at the benefits of investing in government securities. Now you're wondering, how do I invest in a fixed income security in Ghana? All you need is a bank account and a CSD account. A CSD account will help you purchase treasury bills, notes, and bonds anywhere in Ghana with so much ease. See you next time.
There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business, including our top story on the Auditor General's report and the financial irregularities recorded in 2021. That's on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.